Since I've been trying to get myself back into the habit of writing and journaling again, I've decided to come up with my own list of writing journaling prompts that I can use and that can kind of help me get back into it and keep up with it. So I'm going to be using one of those prompts that I came up with today and write about that topic. I'm not going to actually read the full journal entry, but I will discuss that topic and kind of what I wrote about and what the situation was, and we'll go from there. And as you can see, I got the LED lights on, trying to create a whole little vibe. I know it's not best to be writing in the dark, but I've done it before, and like I said, I'm just trying to create the mood, create the vibe, and just get into it. The prompt I wrote for today is: write about a time you feel like you should have spoken up about an issue in one of your relationships. This could be with a friend, a lover, a family member, or a stranger. Why you didn't speak up and what you think the outcome would have been if you did. And then I put add your overall takeaway from the experience. And when I say speak up, obviously I mean like speaking your mind, like being open and free and feeling comfortable enough to speak what you feel, just to share your opinion in the situation and not just hold yourself back because you're afraid to cause conflict and things like that. So within setting this whole mood, I got the lights going. I done propped my feet up nice and comfy, or my legs up nice and comfy, and let's get the journal session started. I just finished up my writing journaling session, and so now I'm going to kind of talk about what the issue was that I wrote about. I wrote about an experience I had at a job with a few coworkers and my employer. The speaking up and speaking my mind issue was more so with my employer than the other coworkers. When I started that job, I kind of went above and beyond, and I know a lot of people do that, but it's usually to make an impression and try to, I guess, get on good terms and good sides with everybody. But for me, it was really so that I genuinely enjoyed the job. Like when I started working there, it really felt like somewhere that I would just enjoy for a long time. It was helping me out with goals and plans that I had set for myself. Obviously, it was helping out financially, and it was the most paying job I had thus far. It got me from point A to point B, where I needed to be, needing to really feel that sense of stability and comfort within myself and not being dependent on anyone else. But once things started to settle in and get familiar, everybody was, acquainted with me and I saw the things that I was doing, going above and beyond. That's when things really started to kick in as far as issues. And I know with every job, the beginning kind of seems like it's really nice at first. You really like it. You like the coworkers. You like your employer. And then after a while, you start kind of seeing red flags. You kind of start seeing all the problems, all the issues that you didn't see before. And it's almost like with relationships in general, kind of like honeymoon phases and things like that. So eventually, my employer started to want more and more of me, and coworkers felt like they can do less and less. Like they can slack off and just do whatever they wanted to do without doing their actual work. And that was more so because they knew that they had workers like myself and a few others that would pick up the slack. It literally got to a point where my employer would ask other coworkers to do certain things, a part of the job, and they would literally tell them like, no, I'm not doing that. This is what I'm doing, or no, I'm not doing that. This is my job. This is what I signed up for. no, I'm not doing that. I'm too, whatever it is. They were just basically telling them no. And with them telling them no, they didn't really get too much consequence. They might have had, a little talk here and there like, oh, come on now, be a team player, stuff like that. But then the employer would come to me and ask me, could I do the job that they asked another coworker to do? And did I do it? Yes. I did it without any talk back, without any, telling them, well, I got my own job to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do my job and pick up the slack here and there and everywhere else. I just was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't even say, yeah, whatever. I was just like, yeah, okay. But in my mind and just my whole feelings and everything was like, I'm getting sick and tired of doing this. Like, y'all need to quit asking me to pick up the slack in other areas when somebody else is supposed to be doing that. I'm getting tired of y'all sending me text messages and pictures of stuff that needs to be done, and somebody else is supposed to be doing that. I'm supposed to be on this floor, and y'all got me on my floor and another person's floor doing their work. I'm gonna read the rest of what I wrote. So, it started to become more than just asking me to pick up slack that other coworkers said no to. It began to feel like my employer would pick on me if things weren't done quickly enough or if she was in trouble with her own boss. Yes, I didn't speak up a lot, but one day I had enough, and I spoke my mind. It felt good too. She said what she wanted to say, but it wasn't much after the shock of me speaking up. I finished out the day, and well, the next morning, she fired me. At the time, I felt like she was completely in the wrong. Like, she handled the situation in a way of trying to use her authority, even though, yeah, she's the boss, but it was just a matter of you wasn't taking control and standing in that position with the other coworkers, but with the person that was quiet and to herself and just, never spoke up. I finally spoke up, and then you wanted to show your authority towards me. So I felt like she was wrong in that sense, and I didn't regret it. Like, I didn't regret speaking up. It made me feel good. And I realized if I never spoke up, then those things would have just continued on. I would have continued feeling some type of way, like being angry coming to work because I knew I was going to be doing extra work than I needed to be doing. And I would have been feeling like other coworkers don't get treated the same. They can say whatever they want to say and not get in trouble. It would have just kept me stuck in that cycle of letting things happen and not taking up for myself or speaking my mind. I will say that the transition was hard. Losing the job that was helping me keep up with my bills, pleasures, and being able to save up a decent amount. A lot of things came up at once that required me to have that money and to need that stability. And of course, bills didn't stop. After a while, I did realize I needed to learn to speak up more, but also when to have a mature conversation and not just allow myself to explode with anger and emotions. I also learned that things just have to happen, and you might not understand at the time or know the purpose at the time. And then later on, you come to a realization or a few. So while I did feel like she was wrong in how she went about things, I also could have went about things differently. Not saying I shouldn't have spoken up, but I could have instead had tried to have a mature conversation about it. Just saying, hey, can we have a talk? I'm feeling like X, Y, and Z. I don't like how X, Y, and Z, instead of just blowing up right then and there on the spot. And I guess sometimes that is necessary because a person like me who doesn't really speak up as much, I let a lot build up. When you let a lot of things build up, you need to release that at times, but you have to find healthier, mature ways to release those emotions because at some point it can get really bad and things could have been a lot worse. I could be in a situation where I let things pile up and build up and just explode and like really hurt somebody or myself. You never know. So you have to find those healthy, mature ways to express those feelings and emotions, your opinions and things like that. Sometimes I do miss the job and some of my coworkers, but I ended up finding a new job that I've never experienced before in a way that they really help. They really care about each other like a family. I ended up finding about a heart issue that I have. And so if I still would have been working at that previous job, I would have eventually had to stop anyways because it would have been too much on my body. So with this new job, they worked with me while I couldn't work, and just so much more that they helped out with. And they didn't just fire me when I couldn't work. They tried to find ways to put me in another position where I could continue to work and maybe not do as much. Like I could sit down and do my job and things like that. Everything doesn't last forever, but sometimes all that anger and all those emotions and things can last forever. They can last a really long time if you don't let them out in a healthy way and you just continue to let things build up and not speak up or share your opinions.